Welcome back, nerds, to another episode of Judging Nerd Culture. I'm Alan. I'm starting over.
I wanted to breathe heavily into the microphone.
It's the worst thing in the world. Why would you do that?
Out like a laugh. I'm so sorry. It's spooky season. It's spooky season.
It's spooky season?
Mm-hmm.
And the house it is. Because we watched Fear Street. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
1969. No, that's not right. 1998.
I think so.
97? 94. 1990s. 1964? No.
It's like you're actively trying to make this the hardest thing to edit. But yes, we watched the Fear Street
trilogy.
Yeah,
just go with that.
We're talking about part 1 and part 2 today, and to the next time you listen, we'll be talking about part 3 and just sort of a wrap up of like, yeah, this is whatever, and whatever our thoughts are on the series as a whole. For the most part, just spoiler, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, just a couple things that here's a couple of things that we heard this week. So there's a company that's coming out with that's developing some soft microchips instead of hard plastic microchips, which are actually cheaper, safer, more durable, and faster. So that'd be interesting.
So weird to me. A flexible chip, you said?
Yeah, like a microchip.
Okay, so if they can make the whole chip and all the innards of a computer floppy, could you just maybe have a really floppy, flexible computer one day?
I mean, I guess, but like you still don't want it to flex.
Yeah, it would still need a screen. That would be bad.
Just because it can flex doesn't mean you want it to. It's just
hey! I'm asking the questions here.
You're asking
the questions nobody else will ask.
Yeah.
Nobody else will answer.
The questions no one wants to ask, and fewer people want to answer. But yeah, that's one interesting thing. It's not going to be a thing for a long time. And this isn't something I heard this week. It's something I learned about months ago, honestly. But there's another company who's actually developing photo computerization instead of electronic-based computerization, being that their motherboards and whatnot have special wiring, sort of like the sort of kind of wiring that brings you like mega high-speed internets, because those send light instead of electricity as a form of data, light on, light off, that sort of thing. And just like electricity, except it's faster because it's light. And they're doing that's what they're doing, developing that whole shtick, which is pretty fucking cool.
Faster electricity?
No, it's light. It doesn't use electricity, it uses light.
Okay.
At least in terms of communicating from inside the circuit board. Obviously, it still is an electronic device.
Okay.
That's not a thing we have gotten away from yet. But the processing power is light-based. But that's not something I heard this week. That's something I learned about a long time ago and then just never brought up. Something else that apparently is happening that we learned about this week is that Stray, the fun little video game where you get to be a cute little cat with a robot friend. Let's be honest,
it doesn't look fun.
The cute little game.
It looks sad. It looks interesting to play and like fun as in you want to play it and have a good time, but you're going to play it and be sad. I watched the trailer and there's no way I'm going to play that and be happy.
Yeah, it seems very unlikely.
It's very dystopian.
Yeah, but it is cute. And you get to play a stray cat having a gay old time in the stray streets of wherever this is set. But not anytime soon. Because it was set to come out in late 2021, but unfortunately has been pushed back to, they're assuming a early 2022 release window. Yes. Still subject to change as well, which is, video games. What you gonna do?
Yeah. For all the children listening, who have a TikTok, for all the, I have one too.
For all the Gen Z out there on the TikTok.
Yeah. I'm depressed now.
Were you gonna finish?
No, I'm depressed because I have a TikTok. No, so Twilight has been a big Harry Potter and Twilight have been a very big deal on TikTok recently. With quarantine and everything, people really got to rewatch a lot of big blockbuster movies that probably should never have been made. And Netflix there's a rumor going around that they are going to be creating another Twilight movie. So if you are a fan, keep your ears open.
Yeah. Keep your eyes, your hearts, and
keep your eyes to the ground and your ears open.
And just prep that butthole to receive the full Twilight, because it's coming
with a sparkle. There's no information on if it's like a prequel, if it's the Midnight Sun or anything. But
the one where it's from what's
Edward's point of view, yes,
right.
But it if it does happen, if it is a true rumor, then it could be fun. It could be very fun. I did enjoy the Twilight movies as a youth, and now as an older youth, I realize there are many problems within the movie. Jacob and Edward have so many red flags. They are not good boyfriends. As an adult, I am Team Charlie. Bella's dad is the most sane and most likable character in that movie. She should have dated Mike because he is the most regular. Bella sucks, but Kristen Stewart is hot.
These are all facts. And yeah, that pretty much does it for us, man. Netflix is really on some sort of trend right now because they're also planning to put out fucking video games and all this shit. They're just going wild.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck.
No. Money.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we're here to talk about some scary movies. But actually, before we do, one more thing. We have a consistent listener from Germany. Don't know who you are, but thank you very much. And we just wanted to say, verleiden dich, which apparently is, we love you. And I definitely said that extremely wrong. So listen to my phone say it.
Wir lieben dich.
I said that wrong.
That was you. Okay, listen to me say it this time, okay?
Wir lieben dich.
I did it perfectly.
Just impeccable. But despite our inability to speak your language in any reasonable way,
yeah.
Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Now back to Fear Street.
Okay. Fear Street, yes.
Part 1 is each movie seems to be a homage and slight not deconstruction, but they play up some tropes from their original era.
Yes.
And then mess with them a little bit. Each time there's little twists and little things that really surprised me. But the first movie is set in the 90s, and it has a very ghost-faced serial killer with a knife chasing after you kind of aesthetic and style.
Yes, in 1994.
And it revolves around a couple of lesbians just kind of, living in the 90s and realizing, well, this isn't going to go great for us. Our relationship is doomed. We're high school students. But it's all right, because everyone starts dying so they can get back together.
Yeah.
I mean, that is kind of what happens. But no, I'm goofing.
It does have a really very American horror movie feel from the 90s. If you've ever seen like Scream, or I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I think those actually might be from like the early 2000s, maybe not the 90s. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about Scream. I think Scream is.
I only lived 5 years of the 90s. But it has like the jump scares, that weird tense feeling, like the really goofy dialogue that you hear a sentence and you're like, okay, yeah. This would come from a 90s movie.
And they have all of the characters that you expect. They have the weird dude who's normally he's really horny or really high, and this one's really high.
Yeah, he gives me vibes of Matthew Lillard. Hello, Matthew Lillard, aka Shaggy. When he played in Scream, he's got the big sweater that's kind of meshy, and he's just like the weird friend who like probably would stab someone, but is a sweetheart and also has a lot of drugs, but like takes care of his family. It's very strange dynamic he has going on, but he's very cool.
Yes, his best friend is the Scream Queen archetype, even though she doesn't really follow that. Despite being the Scream Queen archetype, it's not really her gimmick. It just makes her feel like that's what she's gonna be.
Yeah.
And then they kind of twist it up on you.
Yeah.
She is actually kind of a badass.
Yeah, she is. Not, to keep going back and making comparisons with different movies, but Michelle Gellar, I think, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah,
I think she is in I Know What You Did Last Summer. She's like, the prom queen, the one who gets chased down the hall and murdered in the locker room, I believe. But point is, she's kind of like that character. Like, she's very, she says in the show she's valedictorian and top of the class. Like, she's top cheerleader. She's the it girl, but
she's also the it girl behind the drug smuggling that happens in the school.
Which kind of comes down to like the town they live in. Shadyside is a very rough place to live in. It looks like a regular suburb, but everything just goes wrong for everyone at some point, and it's just hard to get out of that town, and it's just kind of a real depressing place to live. Like, you're not going to have the life you always hoped for. Like, you're not going to be a super successful and super happy person living in Shadyside.
Right. Our other major character, who's definitely one of the more archetypal ones, is the young virgin. Virgin?
Young version.
Damn it. Young virgin. Anyways.
Virgin. I don't know about that.
That sounded like
No.
My bad. Here, third time. Last try.
Okay.
The young virgin.
That sounds like a newscaster.
Anyways.
Welcome to 9 in 10 News. The young virgin.
But yes, the young virgin.
God damn it. The young girl, the boy. Girl or boy? Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the boy.
Okay, the young boy. Just say the young boy. The young boy. It's so much easier.
He's the main character in this. He's the main character's brother.
Yes.
The younger brother. He's the virgin archetype. He's very sweet, but also pays attention to everything. He's very smart, but like, I can't talk to this girl. I'm very awkward and shy and blah, 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 blah. And I actually like him very much. He's very sweet. You
could almost say he's the young version of you.
I will.
You gonna fight me?
I will fight you. We will tear this office apart. But yes, I like him very much as a fun character. And again, they all break away from their archetype in some way, shape, or form, but they definitely seem as though they're being shaped in this way. The only character that I feel like is maybe less archetypal is the main character herself. She is, she's angsty and angry. Yeah. And most of that revolves around her being gay and just being...
She's a lesbian.
She is a lesbian. And she's angry about it because her girlfriend moved away and the girlfriend is afraid of being, outed as a lesbian, which it's the 90s, so like that makes a lot of sense, to be honest. And like there's all this angst and anger, and she hates the place she lives, and she's just mad. And she's that's not like that's a character type that doesn't exist in 90s horror movies, but it's not really one that's focused on. It's not usually the main character.
Yeah, it's usually like the weird, quirky friend.
Yeah, and they usually get murdered pretty quick. So. Yeah. And the last main character really is the girlfriend.
Yeah.
She is the most. She seems like the one who would have been the main character originally in the old 90s movies, where she's innocent and sweet and pretty and all this stuff, and everyone's like, oh, we gotta protect her, which they do, and we'll find out reasons why later on. Yeah. But it very much seems like she should be the main character based on the archetypes, but the other one is, and I like them both. I think they're both they both do enough things that makes them more interesting at the end.
Yeah.
Although they do start off just being the worst.
So miserable. So miserable. I mean, maybe it's because we're old now, but watching teenagers be angsty, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah, she brought the main character. Do we know their names?
Sam is the blonde, the girlfriend who moved away. And the main character's name... Sam, oh jeez. Think really hard, Ollie. What is it?
So after some extensive research, we've determined that the main character's name is Dina.
Yes.
And our inability to remember names does not imply that she is a bad character that is not memorable. It is just who we are as people.
Yeah. We do not write notes for this, and we should, but we don't.
Hey, one day when we when we get better at this, we'll write notes. For now...
Will we? Will we, though?
For now, this is a wonderful time for me and you to get to recount our wonderful time together. Anyways, Dina, at the very beginning of the movie, I do not like her because she's just so insufferably angsty teen.
Yeah.
Like, she goes to a memorial service for some kids that got murdered in a mall, which is the opening scenes of the first movie is a mall murder. Yeah. That's very, very much an homage to old Scream films. And it did a great job.
Mm-hmm. It was perfect.
But she goes to this memorial to, mourn her dead neighbors.
Classmate?
Maybe?
Yeah.
Although she doesn't care. The only reason she's really there is to bring her ex a box of her shit.
Yeah.
And be real fucking dramatic about it.
Yeah.
She even wrote an angsty note and had a mixtape in there and everything. Just the lamest teenage bullshit possible.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stay that way for very long. The show pretty much kicks off right from there. After having after we get to witness the mall murder and the angst, we get to witness a little bit more of the dynamic between the two towns. There's Shadyside or Shadyville or whatever the fuck. Shadyside and Sunnyvale. Sunnyvale. Yeah, just rich and poor side is what they are.
Classic.
And this was the part that for at least the first two movies, I was like, this is suck. Who wrote this and why? But honestly, near the end, whatever. It came around. But yeah, definitely the most difficult part to get through was that whole bullshit. But after the memorial, the Shadysiders try to go back to town because for some reason the memorial for their dead classmates was in Sunnyvale. Mm-hmm. And on the way there, they get attacked by some Sunnyvalers in their fancy car. And in response, they throw a bunch of shit at their car, causing them to veer off the road and cause a horrible accident.
Yes. That
inevitably somehow leads to Sam becoming cursed by a local witch.
Yes. She was in the car. It was her beard boyfriend who was driving. And when they crashed, it was next to this rock, this boulder. Giant boulder. And, she just got in a car accident. She's bleeding. She's crawling away from the car wreck. And suddenly, she's having these flashes. There's this weird red moss growing all around. And when she crawls into that, when her hands touch it, when she bleeds onto it, she starts having these flashes that terrify her and kind of make her sickly looking and feeling like she is not feeling well at all.
Yes. And this is essentially where the movie starts. From here on, the main characters are terrorized and chased around by Skull Mask. For a while, they think it's just some Sunnyvalers trying to play a horrible prank. And shortly thereafter, they realize things are not as they seem.
No.
At this point, I'm going to give a spoiler warning. We're going to get into the deets, beat the deets, and I don't know why I said that. We're going to get into the details of this.
Spoilers.
Exactly. I'm so glad that instead
that was my music for the spoilers.
I'm glad that instead of just looking up sound effects, you just make them for me. That's very convenient.
Thank you.
I love it.
I'm very talented that way.
You definitely are. But yes, the rest of the movie, that is a classic murder chase. The young protagonists run around trying to escape these ferocious, almost supernatural murderers. And again, spoiler alert, we find out shortly thereafter that they are indeed supernatural.
Spoiler.
Why are you scatmanning? But yes, bibbidi boop bop, it's supernatural. And turns out the witch seems to be a real thing, and these murderers might be possessed by her, going out to get some sort of revenge on the town for having hung her back in the 1600s for being a witch.
Yeah.
And you know what that means? They hung her for learning anything.
Yeah. Whenever we learn there's a witch involved and she's angry about being killed, it's like, oh, well, she was probably a nice lady.
She's probably a nice lady.
Now she's really angry.
Probably learned some basic medicine or anything, and they're like, oh, witchcraft, kill her. But that being said, for the rest of the movie is them trying to escape this situation, trying to find some sort of supernatural way to get out of it, trying to find her bones and bury them, trying to find another loophole, and it culminates in this final scene in the supermarket where they all gather together and they band together to, they band together to kill Sam because one of the articles from long past, because this has been happening in Shadyside for many years, every few years or so, they found one instance of a survivor who only survived because she managed to die and be resuscitated.
Mm-hmm. At this point, they're not in the mall. They're at a grocery store.
At a grocery store, right? Not the mall.
Because it's where the weird friend works. Simon. That's where Simon works, and he works in the pharmacy, which is convenient for his drug business with his.
Very convenient.
Yeah.
But they learn that the serial killers, the supernatural monsters, are actually after Sam, and that in order to get them to leave, they have to kill her and restart her heart so that they can survive this horrible night. And the reason they're after her seems to be because she, during the car accident, actually bled on the bones of, I forgot her first name, but the witch's name is Fear. Sarah Fear. There we go. And by bleeding on those bones, she witnessed some of Sarah's memories and is now a target for these murderers. And they piece together a plan. They splatter her blood on themselves to lure the enemies, and they run around and try their best to keep everything distracted. It leads to some pretty grisly deaths for a couple of our characters. The druggy friend and the valedictorian scream queen both unfortunately get taken down. One of them does go through a meat processor.
Yes, and the other one gets axed.
Yeah.
The main killer, I guess, is slasher boy in the grocery store is the big axe man, right?
In the first movie, the primary murderer was Skullface Stabby.
Yes, but
the most intimidating one was...
The most intimidating one is the boy from the campground, the axe wielder, and he comes up a lot in the grocery store scenes. Yes,
he's definitely the most intimidating of all of them.
Yes.
Like, you see some more of these monsters later on from the past, and there's a couple of real big boys, but Axe Boy is the most intimidating because they all walk, he runs, he sprints. And that's awful. Like, I can't fucking escape that. I'm a big fat man. I can't run that guy.
Yeah. No, he is definitely one of the most terrifying ones.
In this particular movie, in this part one, the first of the trilogy, we get really just 3 major monsters.
Mm-hmm.
We get the skull-faced slasher,
which is a mask, by the way.
Yes, it is a mask face, and he has a knife. It's very much Scream. Then we also have Axeman, who has a
very like Jason vibes.
Yes, exactly.
Jason Voorhees vibes. I mean, he comes from a camp. He walks. Well, no, he runs.
Sprints.
He bolts, but when he does walk, it's a very like lumbering, thick walk.
Yeah, when he walks, it's because he knows I'm gonna take you down.
Yeah.
And he has this just horrible hemp bag mask.
Potato
sack mask. It's awful to look at.
Yeah.
And the last one is...
oh, gosh. Lane. Something Lane.
Yes, Ruby.
Ruby Lane, yes.
That's the one. Only name I remembered.
Nice job, baby.
And she is honestly kind of cool. I wish there was more of her. She apparently went crazy and sang her way through a murder spree.
Yeah.
And she's my favorite, even though she does the least, because she's the chillest.
Yeah, she has her, her razor, like, that old-timey barber kind of razor, flipping around, playing with it as she just casually strolls down the hallway, singing her tune.
Exactly. She's like, I'll get you when I get you. I'm in no rush. I'm like, thank you.
Thank you for not sprinting at me like this giant man.
But yes, in the end, they do manage to... The remaining characters are our Sweet Virgin.
Oh boy.
Sweet Virgin, our young heroine and her beloved.
Yes.
Managed to survive by drowning her girlfriend, and eventually, and this does not make any sense, but she stabs her with...
Oh my god, this scene was wild. There's no way she would have survived.
She would have been better off just being CPR'd. So after she drowns her in a fucking pool...
of like lobsters.
Yeah, because apparently they were trying to drug her to death, and apparently that didn't work out because they lost the drugs. So she just drowns her, which she could have just choked her.
Yeah.
But whatever. More dramatic. And after she gets drowned to death, instead of doing CPR... Her response is, well, we had planned to use adrenaline to bring her back to life after the drugs, which makes sense. I'm going to do that now. Instead of just regular CPR, because,
She doesn't even try to get the water out of her lungs. She just goes straight to, hey, bro, go get the adrenaline.
And then he brings over a handful of adrenaline shots, and...
She uses like 2, doesn't she? Like 2 or 3.
She uses like 8. She just keeps... stabbing her with adrenaline.
Right in the chest.
And it's bad.
Yes. And then she decides, oh yeah, I'll do CPR now. And somehow, in this magic movie, she spits up the water, this foamy water, and survives. There's no way in reality that she would have survived that. She would have been, if it hadn't been, for the drowning, she could have been saved, right? But the first adrenaline, dangerous, because it was right in her chest, but maybe she could have survived. The second one, she was playing with death. And then after that, it's just, there's no way she should have woken up.
She literally got up to the 8th, possibly.
The 8th?
8th possible stab-a-doodle. And I swear to God, if she wakes up, her heart's going to explode, and then she's going to be dead again. But that was really, honestly, the only negative. Yeah.
Was that the ending scene made no sense for a human body.
Yes. A lot of positives. Like, it was a very, very fun slasher flick. It had a lot of homages to the 90s. The characters, at first, I hated them. But near the end, I actually really enjoyed everyone. Even the main character, the main girl, Dina and Sam, they were actually pretty cool near the end.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely acted like teenagers.
Yeah, no, they were the worst characters because they were in love. And fucking teenagers.
Teenagers in love, man. I tell you.
But they were still fine. They were good characters. I liked them. They in the end, they got back together, whatever. But unfortunately, the two that I actually really liked did die.
Yes. Josh, the brother, he was definitely my favorite, along with Simon. I really did like Simon quite a lot, especially near the end. And I think maybe that's what their plan was, Like, don't give him too many lines, don't give him too much screen time until the middle of the movie. And then let's make people like him a lot more at the end. And then he's dead.
Yeah.
And I think even when he died, I was like, oh man, I really liked him. But then at the end, when they are talking to the police, describing, what's happened, because they have to come up with some sort of story. She's talking to the sheriff, Nick Good, who is very important to the story.
Yes. He's apparently the only fucking sheriff that does anything.
Yeah.
And he shows up everywhere.
Yes. And, so he's telling her, I'm with you. You just really gotta be honest with me. What happened? And, he's from Sunnyvale, and she's testy. Like, she's really full of it right now, because she did just see two of her friends die, kill her girlfriend, and almost be murdered herself. And so she's like, mad at him, saying oh, this is just shady side. This always happens here. Valedictorian who's, got great prospects ends up doing drugs and dying. And a boy who's been taking care of his family since he was 12 gets into drugs and dies. And so they're going to blame it on, the two kids, Simon and, Kate. Simon and Kate, who, tragically die in the grocery store, because, nobody's going to believe the story of the witch and the possessed undead serial killers. And when I heard that he had been taking care of his family since he was 12, oh my gosh. I was
by selling drugs, what an entrepreneur.
Drugs. Yeah, honestly. And what else is a 12-year-old going to do to actually, bring in money to take care of his family? Sell lemonade? I don't think that's going to work. Sell erasers and candy out of your locker? No, that's not going to work.
He sells lemonade.
He does. And, so, yeah, that made me like him even more, because it gave him more of a backstory, even.
Yeah, but it was this I actually really enjoyed the reveal of all this, because it was like a gotcha backstory. You thought it was kind of sad that this character who's becoming more fun died. What about now?
Now he's even sadder.
Because he was a great dude who just cared about his family and had horrible circumstances. It was like, oh, well, fuck, all right. I guess I'm just going to be kind of sad now.
Yeah, honestly. And then
we get to the...
They think it's over.
Yeah, we get to the final twist near the end, though.
But they get a call. They get a call from someone who is like, hey, this ain't over.
Yeah. You
think it's over? It's not. I survived too. And I'm still scared to death.
Mm-hmm. Which, okay. That's in part 2, which, looking at our recording time, we have 37 minutes, which at least 10 minutes of those were just us before even recording, talking absolute shit. But we're getting pretty close to, where we should wrap it. So I'm not sure if we should do both. Mm-hmm. But she's an important character, number 2.
Yes. I was just saying that at the end of it, they get a phone call saying, it's not over. Even though, Sam died, she, was resuscitated?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So she was brought back to life. Evil guys vanished because, they didn't have a target anymore. But the game's not over. The witch is still out there. Her, her spirit, her whatever it may be, is still cursing Shadyside and following Sam and Dina. Mm-hmm. And they gotta figure that out.
Yeah.
Then they after the phone call, they go to their house. They go to Dina and Josh's house and are just trying to chill and get over everything. But then, you see Sam alone in the bedroom, and she hears someone calling her name. And that's when oh, yeah, this is definitely not over. Because then she is possessed and tries to kill Dina and Josh. So they hog tie her.
Yeah.
They hog tie her. And Dina's just like, bro, we gotta figure this out. And that's when the movie ends.
Yeah. Moving on to part 2.
What do you think? Did you enjoy the movie?
Oh, I really did. I quite did. And the thing is that because we have off-screened a little conversation, part 2 is going to come in a different week. Sorry, guys.
Or I could come this week if you wanted.
I mean, I could release 2 episodes Monday or Monday and then another one Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever. This is a little.
I don't know. We have a bad schedule.
We're figuring it out. Anyways, I really enjoyed it, and I do think that they get better as the movies go on. I think part 2 might be my favorite one, but part 3 is also very entertaining. I think it's also better than number 1.
Yeah. Well, I mean, number 1 was a setup.
Yeah, that is true. That's fair. I just think generally that's...
If you watch it as one long movie, it makes more sense, I think. Like, it would flow very well and feel just like a very good movie. So, I mean, they had to just chunk it up because it was so long.
Right. The only thing I wanted to bring up was that the character who calls at the end, whatever her name is, C something.
Yes.
She says, "It's not over. I've been terrified for whatever long." But, like, you find out later on, what her life is like. And sure, she's been living in terror, but nothing else has actually happened to her. So, like, I don't think she had to. She actually definitely didn't have to.
Yeah, she did not have to.
That was self-imposed. So.
But to be fair, I mean, I would freak out too.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, she was right for them, but she was wrong for herself. What about you? Like I said, I enjoyed the heck out of this. I'm not a horror lover. I'm not a big fan of slasher flicks, but this started, to do its own thing. It started to take some twists, including real, like, interesting magic nonsense. There was some cool grisly deaths. We got to see some of of very fun serial killer archetypes just kind of come to life in different ways. So yeah, I enjoyed the heck out of it. Solid 8 out of 10 in terms of fun slashers. What about you? What do you think?
For the first one, probably about the same rating. You got 8 out of 10?
Maybe a 7, actually. Now that I think about it.
7 or 8 out of 10.
7.
It's fun. It's definitely a movie you can, like, not worry about getting too scared of.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you are a little spooked by slasher films. But it's not, like, super hardcore. Like, it doesn't get super scary, like, super tense or anything.
Listen, I'm a big old chicken. I'm bad at scary movies. And this was not that scary. It was suspenseful and, like, whatever.
This isn't, hugging a pillow sort of situation, turn the lights on kind of night. It's fun. And it's, I don't know. I really liked that they had the different eras and that they stuck to the feel of cinema in that era, I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot more to say. I liked it. To be fair, I did get a little like, oh God, really? When they were like, evil witch has cursed our town. And I was like, okay, well, we've heard this before 1,000 gazillion times. I have bad witch, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But as the movie progressed, it kind of seemed that maybe she wasn't that bad. Yeah. Maybe she, like, either had a really good reason for why she was, cursing the town, or, in fact, it was not her, and she was actually trying to help. So I did like that as well. That was really cool that they give you little hints here and there of like, we know what you're thinking, but maybe think about this.
Yeah, they made it evident that there might be more going on than we assumed.
Yes.
And I
would recommend it. It is a 6.8 on IMDb, 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 61 on Metacritic.
All right, that's
which
a
is
pretty
honestly,
big range.
That is a pretty big range. I think I would go along with Rotten Tomatoes with an 89%.
Mm-hmm. I'm averaging them. I went for 7 out of 10 after my reconsideration, and that seems to be somewhere in that selection.
Yeah. So, thanks for listening.
Hope you've had fun. We had a great time. Farewell, you fucking nerds.
We love you.
Bye.